What a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous instrument this piano is. You have the orchestra at your fingertips. Composition-wise, thinking about all of their instruments and how they relate to each other, all can be expressed here on this keyboard. This is so wonderful. What we're going to talk about today is bare bones. The bare makings of music, composition-wise, reading, and executing. How to make this wonderful piece of equipment be an extension of your mind. Whether it's this piano, somebody else's piano, or what you're listening to, you'll be able to analyze and make music be your thoughts. The way I like to introduce finding a chord, the very simplest way, is just to count the keys. If we're looking at a C chord, the root name is the name of the chord. So we'll call that 1. 1, and we count 2, 3, 4, 5, keys up, 6, 7, 8. Now that makes a major chord, like that. Now that's very simple because it fits all the major chords. If I'm looking for a D flat, I'll do exactly the same thing. 1, there's D flat, so that's the name of the chord, and we'll call that 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's D flat major. Okay, now how are we going to find, let's say, F sharp? Okay, let's put our pinky on F sharp. That's the name of this chord. It could also be G flat, but we'll call it F sharp for now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's a G flat chord. So that makes it really quite simple to find any major chord using that pattern, 1, 5, and 8 keys. See, because the harp or the piano doesn't know that there is any black keys. So why are there black keys? Well, when they first turned this gorgeous harp into an instrument that they could play with keys, they were all white keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which the normal human hand really can't quite span. So somebody came up with a brilliant idea of making one key in between for each finger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I can reach all 12 keys from one C to the next very easily. Isn't that great? What an idea. Then somebody else thought, well, hey, why don't we just elevate these a little bit? You know, it'll be more like Braille and you can feel where they are. Groups of 2s and groups of 3s. So that works out great. So now you can feel where they are as well as reach them. And then somebody else had an even better idea. Let's paint these black. Then we don't have any trouble at all knowing where the elevated keys are. Thus, the modern keyboard. Reach octaves easily with one hand, or the whole octave chord. Okay, now keeping that in mind, let's just think about the fact that most of the chords that we're going to be playing are right here in this group, right there. So if we want to add more to it, then we're just going to be adding intervals, or duplicating what we already have down here. So now back to the original thing I was talking about, making a major chord. So with that pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, counting each key as we go up, we can find every single chord, major chord there is. E flat, E, F, G flat or F sharp, G, A flat, A, B flat, and B. Those are all the major chords. Now, that's Good, now we know 12 chords. So, what if we want a minor chord? Now, a minor chord has the letter name of the note, the chord, root note, C, plus a small m, which stands for minor. So once we found the major chord, all we have to do is move the third finger down one key, like that. So that is C minor. Now C minor is a darker sound than a C major. But now that we know how to find C minor, we can also find D flat minor. Is there D flat major, D flat minor, D major, D minor, E flat major, E flat minor, E major, E minor, F major, F minor, F sharp major, and now you notice that those were all black keys, so we're going to have to move our third finger down one, and because this is already a flat, if it's G flat, that will become a double flat. So a double flat goes down 2 keys, and a regular flat goes down 1. So it's already flatted, so we're going to have to double flat that one. We'll get into that stuff more pretty soon, but just in case you see it, I thought I'd let you know what it was. Okay, so here's a major and a minor, and A flat major, A flat minor. Now here we see that in order to make A flat a minor and move that down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, that we're going to have to flat the C. So we don't want to use B because then we can't keep these all line notes, which later on is very important. So we're going to call it a C flat. So if C flat is a white key, not a black key. So it doesn't matter whether the keys are black or white, they can still be a flat or a sharp. So here we are now at A flat minor. So here's A major, move my third finger down 1 key, A minor, B flat major, B flat minor, D major, and B minor. So I like to think of these chords as having colors. And on the arpeggio tape, where I'm explaining all the differences in the sounds and how to identify them by ear, I think of them as colors. For example, C is a red. But today I'm going to talk more in depth about constructing chords. So let's go back to the C major. Okay, now here are the bare bones. Now this is a little difficult to understand, but I'm going to show you some little diagrams in a minute. So if you think of a major third, now we call this a third because it's 1, 2, 3 letter names apart. C, D, and E make 3 letter names. And that's very important because this same third, if I play a C sharp and a E flat, it looks like a second on the keyboard. But in notation, it can still be a third if it's 3 letter names apart, a C, a D, and an E. C sharp, D, E flat. We won't run into that combination very often, but that's a point that people like to know about. So anyway, here we have a major third. So again, in a major third, we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keys. Now that's a major third, okay? Now a minor third would be 1, 2, 3, 4 keys. So remember that. That's very important. Now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you the combinations of a major third and a minor third, which is the end. That's it. That's what everything is about, is a combination of those 2 thirds, either a major third or a minor third. So there's only 4 combinations, 4 original combinations that we can have with the thirds. A major third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus a minor third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is a minor third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a major third. That makes a major chord. If you have a major third on the bottom and a minor third on the top, that is a major chord. If we reverse it and we put a minor third on the bottom and a major third on the top. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is a minor chord. That's C minor because C is on the bottom, okay? Now, if I have 2 minor thirds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have a diminished chord. That is C diminished. I have minored that one and this one, flatted these two. So therefore I have a little tiny chord, and it's a C diminished. So that's what a diminished chord is. Now, if I have 2 major thirds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, count that as 1 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have an augmented chord. So an augmented chord makes it fat. You know, if you are augmented, you're going to be heavier. So this is an augmented chord. So again, now that is all the combinations you can make with that. Either if you 2 majors, make augmented. 2 minors, make it diminished. Combination of a major and a minor, make a major chord. If the minor is on the bottom, it's a minor chord. So there you have it. That is the bare bones. C major, C minor, C diminished. And we'll go back to the C major again just to show you where the augmented is. You sharp the 5th, like that. So here we are, major, minor, diminished, and augmented. And that's it. That is all there is to it. Okay, now, so we take any chord, let's take an F. Okay, so we have an F. Okay, we're going to make it a minor and diminish it. Go back to the major, just to help us find the augmented, and sharp the 5th. There we go. Now if you do this exercise with each one of these chords, then you'll have the bare bones down. C, C minor, C diminished, C augmented, and C. Okay, now let's move everybody up 1 to D flat. Now we have D flat major, D flat minor, D flat diminished. Now let's go back to the original major again, just so we don't get lost. And now we have D flat augmented. Now let's go to D. We'll do one more, but you should really do all of them all the way up. Then you're going to start seeing relative patterns. E major, D minor, E diminished. Now we're going to go back to D major again, just to make sure we're not going to get lost here. And then D augmented. Okay, so do that with each one. Now then you're going to notice that there's a relationship. For example, there's 3 white chords in the major, C, F, and G. I call those the white guys. And then there's the 49ers. Now the 49ers, the only relationship I could think of here was a 49er football player with 2 blondes on each arm. So there's a black one in the middle and a light one on either side. So I call those 49ers. So D is a 49er, E is a 49er, and A is a 49er. Now if we take and reverse this and flat everybody, move everybody down 1, then we have D flat. So D flat is an Oreo cookie. So, and then E flat is an Oreo cookie, 2 blacks on each side and a white in the middle, and A flat is an Oreo cookie also. So now, that's one group, all white guys, the 49ers, and the Oreo cookies. Okay, so there's one group left, because that's 9. These are the oddballs, and I call these the oddballs because there's not much how they relate to the others. So B flat has 1 black on the bottom and 2 whites on top. And then B has 1 white on the bottom and 2 blacks on top. and then G flat or F sharp, which is all blacks. So on this, I made up a chart that I'm going to show at the end of the film to show how those are related. So don't worry if you don't get this all at once. Okay, now if they're minors, the white guys become 49ers when they're minors. See with a black in the middle? F, G. And conversely, the 49ers become white guys when they're minors. D becomes white, E, and A. So, now if we get back down to the Oreo cookies, they don't seem to follow quite such a wonderful pattern as those do, because now this guy, E flat, then he is all black. However, D flat has a white one still in the middle because it's on the white half step. And the same with A flat. But if you do these in the arpeggio exercises, then you'll see the patterns on the keyboard and feel them and hear them. And pretty soon, your hands will know exactly where they are. So you don't even have to think about where the chords are. You just think about a certain sound and it happens. Okay, now, so let's go another step here. So the next thing we're going to do is to talk about the bare bones and their children, or whatever you want to call it, that you add things on. Okay, so here's C. Now, if I go up to another C, I have an eighth because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 keys, white keys, letter names away from C. So intervals are letter names apart. Like this, C to D would be a 2, C to E is a 3, C to 4, F is a 4, C to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C, D, E, F, G is a 5th, so forth. So this is a 6th, a 7th, an 8th, a 9th, and a 10th, and 11th, and that's about as far as you go. Most hands can't reach that far. Mine certainly can't. So anyway, now, the keys that we're going to be concerned with are one below the octave, which will make it a major 7th, and the reason it's a major 7th is because that's the 7th degree of the scale. And then the flatted 7th, we're going to call this a flatted 7th, and it's written C7, which means it's a flatted 7th interval. They just leave the flat off these days. But that is a 7th. And then if we come back one more, it's a 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those are the ones we're going to talk about. Okay, so here we're adding a 6 to it. So now we have C6. We're adding the 7th, the flatted 7th. So now we have C7. And now we're going to add the major 7th octave. And if we wanted to add one more, there's the 9th. Okay, so we'll think about that. Okay, so now if I take and add the 7th, I'm going to add the 7th, and then play a C minor. Now I have C minor 7, C diminished 7, and C augmented 7. So I still have my bare bones, but I just added a 7th to it. So there's C7, C minor 7, C diminished 7, and C augmented 7. So the 7th is back 2 keys from the octave. 1, 2. Back, or a whole step. Just think it's back a whole step from the octave. So a whole step means that there's a key between. Like this is a whole step. This is a whole step. See, as long as there's a key between, that's a whole step. Okay? So now, if there is no key between, like this, that's a half step. So if I went directly up chromatically, I'm going up in half steps. Down in half steps. Okay, so now let's go back to this again. So here I added the 7th to C, major chord, so I have C7. C minor 7th, C diminished 7th, C augmented 7th. Okay, now let's go down one more and add the 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so here's C6, C minor 6th, and C diminished 6th. It's easier to call that diminished 6th rather than a double diminished. So it depends upon which book you're reading, but we'll call this a C6 just for simplicity because it's 6 keys up to here, 6 letter names. Okay, now, so there, now we've got those. Okay, let's come back one more and use the major 7th. Okay, so now the major 7th sounds fine with a major bare bone, but doesn't sound too good with the other ones. Depends upon what kind of a sound you're looking for. Now, that opens up another whole ball of wax, which I'm going to talk about right now. So I originally said that there's only the major third and the minor third. And 4 original combinations, the major, the minor, the diminished, and the augmented. Okay, now from this point on, if we stack on any other thirds onto that group, we have another chord involved. See, so we start overlapping. Now here we have an E minor, see, in a major 7th, okay? Now if I stack on another third, here, this is a minor third. A step and a half. A whole step and a half is a minor third. 2 whole steps right there is a major third. So I'm putting a major chord on top of another major chord. This is a G chord, but it's also termed as a C major 9 because that's the 9th letter name from C. Okay? So I have 3 chords here. I have a C, I have an E minor, and I have a G. So this is where the fun begins. Now, when you start thinking about arranging sounds and how you'd like things to sound, think of just individual bare bone chords, like a C plus a G. Okay, move everybody up a half step. Okay, so this is how you start getting some of those lovely jazz sounds. So now, what I can do, I can build a chord like a minor, for example, which is right here in the major 9th, in the right hand, which would be E minor. A lot of songs are written on this type of combinations. You can also call these modes like that. Okay, so now, then we'll try a C with just a G chord. And maybe play the E someplace else. So this is how you get those wonderful sounds. So I'm combining bare bones here, C chord. I can make an E here, minor, E minor. Or, because that's what's going to be in the major 7, or a G. So if I look at my thumb and I think, okay, that's the 5th of that chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is part of the bare bones. And then I'm going to, whatever my thumb is on here, I'm going to play that major chord up in the right hand, like that. So Dave Brubeck used to write some fantastic stuff, and he would write in 2 separate keys. One, C major, say in the left hand, and then in the right hand, G major. See, but that's exactly what I did here. I played G chord off of the 5th, which in a circle of 5ths is going to be the dominant. So, but it makes combining these chords so much easier when you're trying to think of combinations. Okay, now, so what else can I do with this? Well, gee, this is just so much fun. You know, like you can take the 10th, now I've taken the 3rd out of there and stuck it up on the top. That's what I mean by 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letter names. And play the E minor up here. on an A up here. Okay, now I'm going to go back for an E minor down here. Now I don't have to play it in an E minor root form. I can play it any place I want. Okay, so let's do an F. Okay, now the one I'm going to look for here is the A. Keep that in a minor. Go back to a C just for fun. Okay, let's go to a G. Okay, so here's G and D. See, so I got my thumbs both on the Ds. So you can use any kind of pattern you want. You can do like a 12-bar blues where you have 4 bars of C, and then you have 2 bars of the 4th, and then you have 2 bars of the C again, and then you have 1 bar of the 5th, 1 bar of the 4th, and 2 bars of the C. So that's a typical blues pattern. So here you can see the white guys, C, F, and G, which have no markings. If there's a sharp, it's on the right side. Here's D, E, and A. The 49ers, which the middle one is a black key, so the middle arrow indicates that that one's a black key. And then if we go back across it on the other side, here we have the opposites of those Oreo cookies. So the top one and the bottom one go down one. So that is a flat. A minus sign is a flat, and a sharp is a plus sign. So those are some of the abbreviations used on the chord. So here would be the chord name C, which is all white guys. Okay, now if we come down to the oddballs, the F sharp is all black keys, and the B has 2 black keys on the top, and B flat has 1 on the bottom. All white keys unless colored with arrows. So this is kind of a neat little chart I made up. A lot of books are coded this way so that it helps you to remember what the keys, the chords are. You know, when you just see a chord letter name, you can mark it like that when you're first beginning. Here's the minor chord chart. So now you can see how they're just the opposite. The white guys now become 49ers, means the third finger goes down 1 key, and the middle one is now black. And then also the 49ers become white guys when they're minors. So D minor, E minor, and A minor are white. And then over here, the D flat is D flat minor is different, and E flat minor, and A flat minor. So, and then the oddballs just trade places. The B flat has the 2 bottom ones black, and the B minor has the white one black. And then the F minor becomes an Oreo cookie, F sharp minor. So anyway, this kind of helps you see how they all relate. The minor thirds, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To make a major third and a minor third, count 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a minor third and the major third. 2 whole steps. Minor third is a step and a half. Third plus a minor third equals a major chord, or 8 keys. Like we have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count 1 plus 5 plus 8 for C major, 1, 5, or 8. And then all 12 work exactly the same way. C, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, G flat, G, A flat, A, B flat, and B. Here you can see that if you're looking for a C major chord, you count 1 for the C, 2, 3, 4, 5, press an E, 6, 7, 8. So that's a major chord. If we add the 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then we're going to get C6. Add the 7th, we'll have C major 7th, or the flat is 7th for C7. And so forth. We can add a 9th and just keep on going, adding the chords like I was showing. C minor. So now there again, see, you would count 1, 2, 3, 4, where the little triangles are, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so it's 1, 4, 8, or just think about moving your third finger down one. That just really helps. This is a magnificent little book. It's called Original Chord Finder. It has all 12 chords in it, major chords, minor chords. It's just so much easier to learn and understand the concept than to learn 1,000 little snippets, like one chord at a time. You know, if you understand the basic bare bones, just that there's only 4 combinations, and combinations of those combinations, then you can think of it as simply as possible and understand it from the very beginning and be able to play and enjoy learning music so much faster. I hope this